Welcome back to Razmafzar TV. Hi, Bede. How are you doing today?
I'm well.
How is
Good.
life in Australia?
A bit cold. Uh, I went out shooting this afternoon with my archery club, and there was this cold southerly wind blowing intermittently. So it was bright sun, but not very warm. Outside at the moment, it's 13 degrees.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's a bit warmer inside, but not much. I will have to turn the heater on eventually. But no, it was good. I was shooting long distance for a while, 50-pound bow, um, and at very small targets. So it was not a lot of hits, but a lot of fun, and
Yeah,
everybody seemed to enjoy it. So that was good. We got everybody involved.
very nice. Today we are going to talk about, again, we go back to Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Russia. We talked about Ottoman armor. We talked about Ottoman archery equipment, horse armor. Today we are going to talk about swords, daggers, and other weapons.
Excellent.
And yeah, so, okay. Can you see that, Beat?
Yeah, yeah, beautiful.
Do you remember these ones? If you remember these ones, they were
I,
published
I,
already in
yeah,
Islamic Arms and Armor. Do you remember that?
yeah. I remember some of the details. I've also got a couple of books in Russian from Russian museums.
Yes.
Sometimes I recognize things from things I've seen in books as well. Uh, what strikes me looking there's a Jared case with a sword,
Yeah.
two Jareds with a sword, a standard killage. The blade looks early. The mounting looks closer to Persian than Turkish, but the sword is the scabbard and everything is a classic, one of the two styles that were popular in Ottoman Turkey. This one is more closely related to what you would call an Arabic style,
Yeah.
uh, a, a ring on either side of the scabbard. The next one's really ornate coral inset, very popular in the I think it's the 17th century,
Yeah.
18th century.
Yeah.
Uh, Then the next one looks to be a very good fighting sword in the parlor style with a broader blade, T-section, and a big yeoman back edge.
Yes.
And then the next one is more slender, fast moving.
Yes.
Then we've got a lot of, well, on the two right sides we've got yataghans on the second row
Yeah.
and daggers, some bichak style daggers, judging by the scabbards. Then what looks like a flamberge bladed
Yeah.
killage.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure at the other end. They look a bit like miets. It looks well, no, it is curved. I thought for a minute it was one of the Ottomans also made straight swords,
Yes.
which I think they used the Slavic name for miets, or something similar to that. So kılıç is the Turkish word for sword. Pala or pala kılıç is what they sometimes call very curved swords, as opposed to gently curved swords. Yatan is what we pronounce as yatagan, but in modern Turkish is yatan, which is a large single-edged knife with a recurved blade. Bıçak generally refers to a dagger In Western collecting terms, they talk about a dagger where the two grip scales are cut in so they kind of look like they're flaring out, but they don't really. It's just the tops of the grip scales are
Yes.
cut in an angle towards the tang.
Yes.
There's others. There's quite a few, and then at the bottom row we have some really
Yeah.
beautiful Turkish muskets.
Muskets. Yes. Very nice one.
They were renowned for very good muskets. I know this is probably irrelevant, but I saw one of the gun experts on an old antique roadshow from England once pick up one of these, and he said this just feels so good on your shoulder. It just fits the body so well. So
Yes.
even though they don't look very much like Western guns, they actually had a kind of weird ergonomic design that worked really well.
Very well. Okay, let us start with flamberge, one of the flamberge here with silver fittings.
Yeah, that's very nicely made.
Very nice.
They have that wire wrapped stitch joining the where the velvet folds over the
Yes.
scabbard there.
Seam
I've got,
goes
I've,
in. Yeah.
yeah, the that type of stitching is still done by bootmakers in Kazan in Russia today,
Mhm.
where they it's not done like exactly like this unless this
Yes.
is much more complicated than it looks. What they do is they sew the boot together inside out, but as they push the needle through, they wrap thread around the needle, and as it comes out, each stitch is wrapped with a different
Yes.
colored thread. Well, in this case, they wrap it in fine silver wire, which is
Yeah.
also done in Iran, of course, as
Yes.
you've
As you
discussed.
see, it has a cartouche, and the blade is made of Poulade Gohardar, patterned crucible steel. Very beautiful.
That's very
And
elegant.
very. And now look at these beauties.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the sword in the front is incredibly curved. The dagger, you might recognize those jade hilts from those Zan daggers from
Yeah.
Iran.
Very.
I've seen one of the Zan daggers because a friend of mine used to own one, as you know. But he also had a big straight double-edged dagger like that with a very ornate grip
Yeah.
and a jewel on the top. And if I remember correctly, the blade was in cross section like a diamond shape with concave faces instead of being flat,
Yes.
and completely covered in inscriptions inlaid in gold. So these daggers were very high status. He
Yeah.
was of the opinion it was like the hetman's baton in among the Cossacks and the Poles,
Yes.
where a pasha or somebody would just hold this up to signal his own troops instead of, you know, I don't know, a fly whisk or whatever things people carried. The sword looks very practical, and I would what late 18th century, early 19th century, something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Very beautiful.
yeah, oh yeah, that would be a treasure. The dagger at the back is quite strange.
We
I
have
don't.
similar daggers in some of these collections on Ottoman arms and armor.
Yeah, it appears to have an old blade with a cutout and little balls that roll up and
Yes,
down
it
inside the
does.
cutout.
Exactly.
That's a
It's like,
very old style.
yeah, this one. Yeah,
Yeah, but
exactly.
the scabbard and the grip seem to be made as a piece,
Yes.
and possibly later. I
Yes,
don't know.
fluted, right?
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to tell with those because there's it's not like they only had one way of doing things. Oh, this is beautiful. These these javelins, Jared Jarrett in Turkish are about the length of a long arrow,
Yeah.
and people can throw them really long distances. These ones are made for war. The long diamond-shaped point is for penetrating armor or
Yeah.
anything for that matter. By which I mean, generally speaking, mail or something like that.
Yes.
They fit in the scabbard, and there's a sword with a kind of half guard, so it'll
Yes.
all fit in together.
Yes.
Um, and you would probably wear that under your stirrup leather,
Yeah.
like diagonally across the saddle under your leg.
Yes.
You would wear that on your body. This is something that a horseman would use. And
Yes.
the sword is a backup to the javelins. The javelins, um,
Yes.
if you watch uh, Durit games from Turkey. They played a lot in Eastern Turkey. So full speed on horseback, throwing these javelins, not pointed ones like this, just plain wooden ones because it's a sport.
Yeah.
But they could hit targets at ranges you would think were not possible on horseback.
Yes.
And most people wouldn't think a short javelin like that could be thrown that far because
Yeah.
you kind of think of Olympic javelins or big javelins in ancient times. But these, they fly remarkably well.
Yes. Very nice.
Uh, and
Very
the
nice.
dagger, oh,
Beautiful.
yeah, and the mounting and oh, the scabbard has such a beautiful design to it.
Very, very
This is
beautiful.
really high quality stuff. I suppose
Sorry.
the Tsars get to collect the best, don't they? But have a look at the points on the javelins. Look how fine they are.
Yeah.
And they've
Very.
got the little bolsters and that. And then at the back of the javelin, the cap, see how it's got a twisted design on it?
Yes.
And is that silver and yellow on the scabbard?
Yes. It's still in the yellow scabbard.
Yeah. The dagger, you can just see how beautifully sculptured the grip is.
Yes.
Fluted almost. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's of some precious I, I'm guessing precious wood rather than horn or something like that. I
Yes.
could be wrong, but it's really solid. And normally you can only do that with wood, so it might be ebony or something like that.
Yeah. Very
Yeah,
beautiful.
and the sword, just a straight single-edged saber, no curve at all. See how it's got that half of a quillen block,
Yes.
so it'll all fit together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautifully done. And the actual shape of the hilt is a little bit like those Cabela swords.
Yes, it is. Indeed.
Yeah,
Here, let me show to our viewers, Pete. Here.
yeah.
It
It's
is.
like a bird's head or a parrot's head or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
Exactly.
a very beautiful design.
Very.
As I say, when you're the Tsar, you can have this kind of good stuff. Uh, yeah, that's really the hilt is a real sculptural thing. The silver fittings are just there to enhance the carving of the hilt.
Yeah.
The scabbard is actually really quite complex in its patterning and very attractive.
Very.
I mean, these would be worn in the belt, um, uh, usually not like a pish carbs in the front, but on the side with the sword on the other side, and possibly used as a weapon of last resort because you could just, I mean, these are a stabbing down dagger,
Yes.
and you could just put your hand on it and just pull it out, and this is, everything's gone wrong. You're about to be killed, and you whip that out to protect yourself. That's looks like a very strong point on that too.
Yes. And it has
Yeah.
a fuller. It's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, fullers that small are basically decorative, but they enhance the shape. They make the shape more attractive to the eye. Because, I mean, a curved dagger can be really good looking like this one,
Yeah.
or it can be just a bit rough and not. I don't mean the finish, but the design might be too curved or too
Yes.
straight. I mean, it just depends on the execution. I'm really impressed by the hilt though.
Very
As
nice.
I say, the silver work's just there as an enhancement. The real work of art is the carving of that hilt.
Yes.
Um, Somebody who knew what they were doing did that. This is this one again.
This one again. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, that's got architectural details.
Look
This is
how beautiful it is. It's
If it was
unbelievable.
European, you'd call it Baroque. I mean, this is really over the top. I mean, there's jewels and all kinds of wonderful things like that. Looks like a piece of jade down near the chape.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, it's actually sculptural and figural. So there's you would say like a kind of European, well, yeah, definitely European influence, um, where Ottoman designers have taken up European ideas and then reassembled them.
Yeah.
Because no European would probably make a dagger scabbard this elaborate. I mean, the white jade hilt is a very valuable thing. I mean, at the time, it was highly regarded.
Yes.
It's probably got an emerald or something set on the top. It looks like three stones on the top.
Yes.
Um, And the thing is that something like this, clearly in the Hermitage, there are several ways to get there. The first is a present from the Sultan to the Tsar.
As a
The
matter of
second,
fact, most of them are present speed.
yeah, something this high quality is unlikely to be killed in battle
They have
because,
documents for them. All of them are
yeah.
documented. All of them.
So these are presents where the Sultan is he's basically showing off
You know,
how
that's
good.
one thing I like about the Hermitage, in contrast to many American and European collections.
Mhm.
Most of them were not purchased in the art market, they were presents. That's what I think makes Kremlin Museum and Hermitage unique.
Yeah, so these are national treasures rather
Yes.
than,
Yeah,
I mean, not to say there's a lot of things in Russian museums that were gifts of noble families
yes,
um, to the museum, or after the revolution were acquired from noble families. Um,
yes.
and so therefore, you will see things related to famous boyar families and things like that, and the names of great
The tip is
magnates.
also jade, right? Yeah. The
Yeah.
tip. And
Yeah,
here as well, plaques of jade, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
this is a very Turkish thing. They love putting jade plaques. I mean, there are saddles with jade plaques on the cantle and the pommel.
Beautiful.
Uh, it- it's almost a Chinese style, except obviously the carving is in the Turkish style and the arrangement is in the Turkish style. But there's something like a parallel between the Qing dynasty in China and the Ottoman dynasty
Yeah.
in Western Asia and Europe, where there's a similar taste for high quality jade.
Yes, that's right. Okay, Bede, now we get closer
Ah,
there.
yeah. Now that makes more sense. So the decoration on the blade doesn't look as old as the blade itself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's fairly flat. The the sheath, the scabbard, the carved part of the scabbard, which is again probably wood, and the grip, even though the shape is quite Ottoman, the carving looks European to me. I might be entirely wrong. And of course, the Ottomans had European craftsmen working for them. So, and this will have paperwork saying it was a gift, and it may have been picked specifically because they thought it might appeal to the Tsar.
You know
Um,
what it says, Bede? Look at this. It's in Persian. That's interesting. I never realized that. ده مرگ بسته چاک من و ضرب. 10 death caused this my opening upon striking.
ah, so it's one of those. Because there's a group of 15th, 16th century Persian dagger blades remounted. I mean, some are in Iran and some of them are
Yeah,
remounted
I
in.
was surprised it's in Persian, just, hey, I
Yeah.
can read it. Why is it in Persian? It's in Persian. I never
But
paid
remember,
attention to
too,
it.
certainly in the first few centuries of the Ottoman Empire, a lot of the elite spoke Persian as well as Turkish, and writing in Persian was considered quite elegant. But as I say,
Interesting, huh?
yeah, and the idea of having the little beads in a groove that roll backwards and
Ah,
forwards.
that's it. Yeah, you're right. There are beads there. Yeah, yeah.
In really, really, really high status ones, they were little pearls.
Yeah.
And there were poems on the blade talking about the pearls of your tears when you're
Yeah,
stabbed by.
yeah.
Because in both in Iran and in Ottoman Turkey, poetry was a big thing.
Yes.
And I mean, the Turkish language is particularly adept to playing with words when you write poetry. Even in like in northern India, the Chagatai language that the Mughals brought with them, which is a Turkish language, um, it it's full of puns because you can do that with Turkish, and you can write poems that have double or triple meanings. So, on a knife, a poem may say something quite dreadful, but it's also can be interpreted as a lover talking about how he is suffering pain because he's been rejected by his beloved. So the kind of really rich cultural side of this is quite amazing.
You know, it
Uh,
reminds me of these beautiful Persian poems on قداره and قمه, sometimes on خنجر. سه هوش فلاطون دمش تیزتر ز ابروی دلدار خونریزتر. It is sharper than the intelligence of Plato, and it sheds more blood than the beautiful eyebrow of a beautiful woman.
yeah, yeah,
Beautiful, isn't it?
yeah. This is the kind of thing that they went in for,
Yeah,
and you know this is they call. So I've seen it in a book called the Turco-Persian Culture. So that there's this collective culture. It has its national boundaries and things that are popular in one place or another,
yeah,
but there's a collective culture where people from Herat would understand the intent of a poem from Istanbul,
yes.
even though that it's been centuries since they were in close communication. So
Pete,
this is
take a look at
yeah,
this tip. Is it a
it
dragon head? Look at this
it
with the
it's,
eyes and the
it looks
nose.
well. Is it a nose or is it a horn coming out of its
Oh, it's a
like
horn.
running up over its? It's definitely a dragon-like animal. I've seen them. They're a kind of I think they descend from a Hindu thing called a makara,
Oh yeah,
a
Makara,
water
Makara, something like that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, a water dragon.
yeah. You're right.
What it looks
Yeah,
like to me.
you're
Yeah,
right. You're right. Mhm.
but it's a really good design.
Very, very nice.
It just stands out. I love the eyes. I think the eyes precious stones or is it just the silver or the jade? I think it might be just carved in the jade. You can see the scales in the neck are carved in the jade.
Yeah.
And there's what looks like uh, it could be a turquoise at the base of the neck.
Mm.
Uh, it's just
Beautiful.
beautifully made, and all the carving is exceptional. Well, here we've got some guns. The big one at the back has a massive sight on it.
Let me just show something, Beat, before I...
Yeah.
Oh, can we read that? That's difficult. Surf's
Uh,
flintlock, steel, silver. Oh yeah, 1119 Hijra, 1708, 1709. Barrel
mm,
is 1790, 1791 from the Winter Palace. Yes.
yeah. See, that's what we'd call a Michelet lock, I think.
Yes, that's right.
So a kind of cousin of the flintlock. But
Isn't it beautiful?
see the way they've inlaid the wood with, I'd say, silver
Yeah,
in a beautiful patterns.
beautiful.
And this is a characteristic of Turkish long arms is a very solid barrel. They use the mass of the barrel to help with the
Yes.
accuracy. A lot of modern guns in competition shooting, they sometimes have very light stocks but very massive barrels. This is meant for warfare, so or hunting, so that the stock and the barrel are quite substantial. Notice also you can see a little ball below the lock, and that's the trigger.
Yes,
So
that's the trigger.
classically, Turkish and
Let me show it
Caucasian,
to our viewers. Beat
yeah,
means this one. This is a trigger, guys. Yes.
yeah, typically Turkish and Caucasian weapons have a ball trigger instead of a, our kind of trigger, like a Western trigger, is just a hanging thing to catch your finger, whereas this is you would squeeze your finger along the stock as you pulled. I mean, the ball is there, so you would gradually pull it back. But they don't have guards over it.
Mm-mm.
Whereas in Western firearms going a long way back, there's always some kind of guard over the trigger to stop you accidentally pulling it. For some reason, it wasn't considered necessary in Turkey. Also, if people are interested, you see the little brass or gilded pieces along the stock
Yeah.
that look like they've got a little square opening in them.
Yeah.
There would be wedges through that square opening to little protruding tabs
Yes.
on the bottom of the barrel. That's what holds the barrel firmly in place. The
Yes.
brass ring around it is a secondary method of holding the barrel in place, but
Yeah.
This is a very I mean you see it in Western guns too, though not necessarily done decoratively. But you forge the barrel out and you forge well little tabs on the bottom of the barrel, which fit into little mortises in the stock, and then wedges go through to lock it in place. But when you want to take the barrel out, you can knock the wedges out, take the rings off, and lift the whole barrel out after you've unscrewed anything that's screwed in. This has got bits screwed in towards the back as well. But it's just, it's a gunmaker's thing. They do it for practical reasons,
Yes.
but they
This
make
is
them look nice.
yes, this is 18th, 19th century, acquired in 1885 to 1886. Oh, this comes from the famous armory of Sascoglioselo. Right.
Ah, yeah,
That's the one.
yeah, that was
Very
big time.
beautiful. Yeah, very beautiful.
And you can see where the hand goes up against the stock. This is
Yeah.
it's a different design than what was used in the West, but it was very effective.
Very excellent.
Uh,
Very nice.
yeah,
Very nice. Uh, just a second, please. I don't know why is it stuck. Just a second,
uh,
please. I have to
yeah, have
say
a bit
what
more coffee.
happened to my thing. Just a second, please. We are being stuck. I need to reopen it. Just a
Yeah.
second, please. Beautiful items, aren't they?
The what always strikes me about things like this is the high quality of the design used in them. I mean, you can talk about how effective it is, how accurate it is, or whatever,
Yeah.
but these were made for important people and they had to look nice.
Yes.
And they got the best craftsmen that they could
Yes.
possibly get.
Okay, let's move on to this beautiful killage.
That is exceptionally nice.
Very nice.
The suspension type is similar to the one I've got. Well, I don't know. It might be hanging on the bookcase. I don't know. I've got swords hanging around. Um, it lets the sword hang straight down.
Yes, exactly.
Um, it's particularly adept with swords that need the back of the scabbard open because they're more curved than
Yes.
can fit into a thin scabbard like that.
Yes.
It's fairly well. If you can see, it's got a like a hook at the front
Yeah.
that does the belt up.
Yes.
At the back, you can just see buckles to adjust it so you can get the sword to hang exactly where you want. So
Yeah.
you take it off at the front, but you adjust it at the back.
Yes.
It's a it's a very nice sword. I could be wrong about it, but it looks as though the blade is what 18th century.
Yeah.
It's got a very pronounced. I mean, it's like the later Parla Killich type of blade, but not as broad and a little bit more and longer.
Yes.
Um, much longer than they are normally. Um, Also, the hilt is more the size of a Persian sword rather than Turkish hilts tend to flare out towards the top. You don't notice it from the side, but when you handle them, you notice that the
Yes.
where it curls over like that.
Yes.
Often that is 50% wider than the base of the grip because it's to stop the sword flying out of your hand when you swing it really fast. Um, it's got a sword knot hanging from the pommel. A lot of Turkish swords have a hole that goes right through in that bulbous end to take a sword knot like that.
Yes.
I'm going to say something about the dagger. That dagger has the look of some Russian daggers. So it may have been a gift because it was in the Russian taste. From the 16th, 17th century, there are some daggers that have a curve like that. I cannot remember which side they're sharp on, or if they're sharp on both sides. There's some in the Kremlin
Mhm.
collection, really old ones, and sometimes they have oriental blades.
Mhm.
Um, but they're, a serious fighting knife. They're not really. They have no other purpose than fighting.
Yes.
Um, and even though everything about that says Ottoman, the shape. They tend to have straight handles like that too. The shape is very Russian. So I'm wondering whether this was made specifically for the Tsar or something like that.
Mhm.
Uh, the blade itself could be very old.
Yeah.
The fittings might be 19th century. Oh, that's beautifully done.
Ah, it says La Fata illa Ali, La Saif illa Zulfaqar. There is no young man, brave man but Ali, but there is no sword but Zulfaqar.
That's a
Nasr min
very,
Allahi wa fathun qareeb wa bashir al-mu'minin. From the Quran, God help us in the upcoming victory and good tidings to the believers. That's what it says here.
yeah.
But I had to turn because it's upside down.
Oh, yeah, yeah, because swords are meant to be held blade up. All the inscriptions are read that way.
Beautiful, huh?
It's beautifully done, but
Yeah,
look at the quality of the blade.
yeah,
I mean, that's a seriously good blade.
very nice one. Yes.
Yeah, and the grip scales are made of horn, where the rhino, it looks a bit like rhino horn, but
It
it's hard
does.
to
Yeah.
say.
Yes.
Um, but it's much closer in shape to a, say, a Persian grip
Yeah.
than some of the bigger Ottoman grips.
Yeah.
But not, I think this might be a fashion of a particular time
Hmm.
to have grips like that. The guard is very plain, but guards always were very plain.
Yeah.
I mean, in European art, decorating sword guards was a big thing,
Big
but
thing.
in Ottoman Turkey,
Yes.
basically even in Russia, when they're using simple things,
Yes.
simple weapons as opposed to elaborate parade weapons.
Yes.
Poland, the Polish like simple grips for a long time,
Yes.
and so did the Hungarians. So there's a big range of people that like grips like this.
Yes.
I'm looking at the way the belt is decorated. They're essentially they've made lots of little keepers which normally would hold the strap in,
Yeah.
but they've been turned into a decorative item, and this is not unusual,
Yeah.
but it's particularly effective
Very,
um,
very nice.
because clumping all together, they make a pattern like almost a fabric pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very,
that's that. Every part of this sword looks good.
it does. Yeah. Magnificent. Oh, here you have this dagger again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I thought it was. These are really strong daggers.
Yeah.
They're long and slender like that, but the blades are really solid. But there's no provision to stop your hand sliding up and down if your hand gets wet with blood or something like that. It's either you know how to use it or you don't, and you know. But the scabbard is typical Ottoman as well.
Yeah.
Um, and again that fish macaira type
Oh, here,
finial.
yeah. Yeah.
This is very popular. But you notice also the silver fitting on the hilt has a similar wavy profile to the top of the scabbard. So this is, you know, designed as a piece. That looks like the handle may be some kind of stone.
Yeah. I think it's stone. Yeah.
Yeah, lapis lazuli. It's hard to tell with the colors, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it
Yeah.
was something like lapis lazuli because
Yes. Yeah.
very high grade things like this were extremely popular.
And now look, Pete. Do you see
So
here?
yeah, so the flamberge blade sword is matched with a matching dagger.
It's not only flamberge, it's Zulfaqar as well.
Oh, is it split? Is it?
Yeah.
Or is it? Oh, wow.
It's bifurcated. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So
Yeah.
this is and you look at this. This is a thing to show off how good your smiths are
It is
to make
unbelievable.
that perfectly even and woods, I assume. So
Yeah,
therefore, it's going
woods.
to be
Yes, it's made of
really,
crystals.
really hard to get this to behave itself.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what's the decorative part of this sword? It's the blade. The hilt is ivory and steel. It's very plain. The blade is the thing that matters.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. One
Yeah,
more. Let me
yeah,
just move on. Ah, here you go. Oh, look at this. This is this dragon again. Look,
yeah,
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I just suddenly thought, look at how delicate the tang cover is. The piece of metal that
Yeah.
covers the tang, so the two grip scales, and there's a piece of metal that goes.
Let me show
Look
it
how,
to here.
look how
Oh,
beautifully
one of
decorated.
these. Look at the quilling is broken this side.
So that makes it
Um,
look as though the tips of the quilling were attached as separate pieces, which is unusual.
yeah.
There's cracks in the ivory too,
Yeah,
but
there.
I mean it's not a young sword.
No, it's not.
Sword shape is old and quite Persianate.
Yeah, very Persianate. Very.
But again, I wouldn't doubt that the actual sword was assembled in Istanbul or somewhere like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It could have been in Eastern Ottoman Turkey, where this would be a popular style. Yeah, it's like a giant sea serpenty kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course, matched